Hashem sent Moshe Rabbeinu down to Paro to tell him to allow the Jewish people to leave Mitzrayim. From the moment that Moshe embarked on this mission, everything turned badly for the Jewish nation. Not only didn't their plight improve, but it became much more severe. At a certain point, Moshe Rabbeinu turns to Hashem and says the words, Lama hareosa lama zeh. Why have you made it bad for this people? Lama zeh shalachtani, why have you sent me? Hashem, if you have some reason why you wish to make the suffering worse, don't count me involved in it, count me out of the picture. And whilst this expression came from a true love of the Klal Yisrael and a true sense of being a manhig, a leader who's concerned for his nation, the reality is that there was a complaint against Moshe Rabbeinu, and the Gemara tells us that Hashem was not pleased. Says the Gemara that Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, Chaval al di avdim v'lo mishtachin. It's a shame that which we used to have and we no longer. Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, those were great people. And there are many, many situations where they could have asked questions. Not once did they ask, you Moshe Rabbeinu, one little bump in the road, or you're asking questions. Chaval al di avdim v'lo mishtachin. They don't make them like they used to. And this is the Gemara's take on the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu seemed to have on some level slipped, on some level he seemed to have made a mistake. And what's very clear from this Gemara is that the Avos, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, were on a greater level than Moshe. They didn't slip, they were greater, even on a higher pedestal than was Moshe Rabbeinu. The problem with this Gemara, it really is quite obvious, and that is that the single greatest human being who ever lived was Moshe Rabbeinu. The Rambam calls him the Av B'Chochma, Av B'Nevuah, the father in wisdom, the father in prophecy. There never was, nor never will be, a man who reached Moshe Rabbeinu's level. The Achronim call him Bechir Shemivin Anushi, the single greatest human being. So if we know for a fact that Moshe was far greater even than the Avos, how can we understand this Gemara when it tells us that Moshe Rabbeinu did not quite reach the level of the Avos? And I believe the answer to this question is based on understanding the key distinction between Emunah and Bitachon. Emunah means knowing, being aware that Hashem created the world and runs the world. Bitachon means learning to have faith, learning to trust in Hashem. The Rambam defines Emunah as really understanding with an absolute clarity of sight that every action that happens on a planet is directed by Hashem. That's Emunah. Bitachon is a different sort of emotion. It's a sense of faith, a sense of relying, a sense of unwavering question, a sense of just trusting in Hashem. And if it could be, Moshe Rabbeinu was on a higher level in Emunah, the Avos were a higher level of Bitachon. There never was nor never will be a human being who saw with absolute clarity the fact that Hashem created, runs, and is involved in every action on the planet. Moshe Rabbeinu saw Hashem present right there as I see a piece of wood. Moshe Rabbeinu reached the highest level of Emunah. However, this concept of Bitachon, this concept of unwavering faith, never questioning, just having an absolute, complete trust in Hashem, apparently the Avos reached to a higher level. And the reality is, understanding that Emunah is different than Bitachon is very essential to our own growth. Emunah is something that we work on a constant level. That's what Shabbos is about. That's what studying nature is about. Seeing the fact that there's a creator who runs the world. But after I get that, I then have to work on Bitachon. Bitachon is training myself to trust in Hashem, training myself not to question Hashem, training myself to understand that Hashem has a much greater understanding of what's good for me and good for my future.